What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, giving you guys a quick deck profile of what I ran at the Greenville, South Carolina regionals over the weekend. I apologize if the camera's shaky, and I know the audio is going to be just horrendous. I'm talking about like old school Cap G, just because the iPhone mic is terrible. But yeah, let's be real. Deck profiles aren't my specialty, and I haven't done a deck profile like this since God, probably 3 years ago. Definitely pre-pandemic. Anyways, I think I did okay at regionals. It was 9 rounds of Swiss, over 250 people, and my final record was 6-2-1. But keep in mind, I got a round one loss for showing up late. I got to the venue at about 9:45, and they closed registration at 9:30. So I just had to start 0-1. In the actual duels that I played, I went 6-1-1, which made me feel very good. So I mean, I guess if you take one of my losses and put it as a win, I would have topped. But I think I'll top next time, because this deck played, or performed, I should say, incredibly well. A lot better than I thought it would. As you guys can see, I'm playing pure Eldorado. This is the build that I wish I would have played at Charlotte's. The build that I played at Charlotte was an abomination, and it showed. So I went 100% back to the basics. Pure Eldorado, plain Jane Eldorado, 3 Lord, 5 pot Eldorado. And let's just jump into it. Okay, so as you guys can see, 3 copies of the big guy, Golden Lord. Everyone will say, no, Cap G, you're supposed to play 2. But if you go back last format and even a little before that, and you look at the pure Trap Eldritch builds in the OCG, they actually play 3. They don't play 2. I get the ban list a little different over there. They have multiple called bys, but 3 is better. And the reason I like 3 over 2 is, number one, going second Lord is insane. He is a natural board breaker. He forces out cards like DPE, Baron de Fleur, the Adventurer Griffin, because like your opponent has to use those cards or lose them. When you revive them, they usually have to use a negate on that effect as well. Otherwise, you just beat over their monster. And yeah, he can honestly just, like, he can force 2 Omni negates by himself, and then you have like 4 other cards to play with. And if you have a Floodgate, you usually just win, because once you slow the game down, you're just going to win. So I like this build, or I like this ratio. And I actually never got called by the Graved. The other thing that 3 Lord allows you to do is it increases your damage ceiling. It makes it a lot higher, because when you search from castle and you already have your Eldritch Engine going and you revive Lord by sending the castle, you can dump a second Lord. And then usually by turn 2, like, all 3 of your Lords are in rotation, and you can pretty much kill either that turn or the following turn. As I said before, 5 pot build of Eldritch. Extravagance doesn't need much explaining, and honestly, neither does Prosperity. You're always digging for 6 in this deck. 666. It's like the Devil's Gate up in here. I only did 3 if I only had 3 cards left in my extra deck. And even though these 2 plots naturally conflict with each other, in 8 rounds that I played, it literally never came up. There was 1 round I played against Base, going second. He had Baron de Fleur, Herald of Perfection, DPE, and he siped me. And I still broke his board, because I went Extravagance for 6. He ashed. I went Prosperity for 6. He let it go. I got Goes in Match, and then I just said, I think I said Skill Drain, Goes in Match, Punishment, which I had a Nethys left, and Sanguine. And I broke his entire board by using Punishment and Draw Phase. He goes to negates. I chain Goes in Match. He goes to negate. I chain Skill Drain. Game over. Next up, we have the Eldorado cards, or some of them at least. 3 Castle, and then I have the white and the black elixir. I talked so much junk about Castle pre-Charlotte, and I didn't run it at Charlotte, and then I realized how much I was losing because I couldn't get to my Eldritch cards, and I was like, where are my Eldritch cards? And yeah, you should be playing Castle, because it gets you to your Eldritch cards. Like, the thing about Eldritch, and why a lot of people don't recognize how strong the archetype is once you get the, like, one of these cards, you basically get the 10 cards. Like, yeah, it's not going to be the fastest, but that's the reason Eldritch can outgrind almost any deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! One Eldritch card is basically 10 cards. You'll get you'll be able to work through all of them just slowly. And if you slow the game down, who do you think's going to win? A deck that blows all its energy turn one, or you who has like 8 Eldritch cards left in your deck? The other elixirs, the white and the black one, they can be frustrating. They're insane if you open with them in Lord, especially going second, because then you just throw them at your opponent. They use an Omni Negate. You use it from the graveyard, dig out like a Wakiro or something, revive, and if they have 2 Omni Negates, they have to use them both. So, yeah, these cards can be kind of good. The White Destiny is a terrible brick, but it's insane in the grind game. I would recommend siding White Destiny out a decent amount of times, because, yeah, that card can be like a super brick. To the standard Eldorado cards, of course, I run the Red Elixir, 3 Conch, and then 2 Wakiro. I used to make a really bad habit of siding out 1 Wakiro, and then I would lose a lot of games because I'd be like, I'm not seeing my engine. So, yeah, do not side these, like, 8 cards out under any circumstance. Like, these have to remain in at all times. The most optional card I would say in this entire Eldritch engine is Golden Land Forever. It has an insane ceiling, very much like the White Destiny, where it's an Infernity Barrier you can pull from your deck. However, it's really, really bad going seconds, and it's also one of the only like Eldritch spells and traps that doesn't get you other cards. So it's not a starter. So this can be a very bad card to open with under circumstances. Spot removal cards, the 3 Strike, the 3 Punishment, and then the 3 Ice Dragon's Prison. I felt like these were the 3 strongest cards. These 2 cards were insane. This card has been very good. I think this card's better this format than it was last format because this card does wonders against the entire Brave engine. You can basically crack the entire Brave engine with just Punishment. Let your opponent, I mean, if they have Griffin, then it becomes a little more difficult, but usually they'll try to go for Draco back when they see like 4 cards set, and you just let them Draco back. After resolution, you pop the token, pop the Fateful, and then their entire Brave engine just doesn't do anything anymore for the most part. IDP, this was the worst card maybe in the entire deck. It wasn't very strong. I didn't like this card going into this format because I thought that it interacted with Brave in a terrible way. This card's almost unplayable against Prank Kids, and I don't know. I think this probably should have been Torrential Tribute, to be honest. Torrential Tribute was the one spot removal card that I did not run. Yeah, this card's great against DPE, but it was a lot better last format when, like, Sword Soul, the entire deck was Worms, and Bird Up, you know, like almost the whole deck, or over half of it is like Wing Beast, and I don't like this card that much anymore. I think I'm going to drop it for Torrential. The win conditions in this deck are right here. Skill Drain, Goes in Match, and Rivalry. These are the ways that you just break boards. If you combo these with like Solemn Strike, or you use Lord to like bait out your opponent's Omni Negates, I can't tell you how many games my opponent would scythe me, or they would have DPE and they would summon some other stupid monster like, I don't know, Fairy Tale Snow or something, and then I'd be like, cool, I'm not running that over. Rivalry, now you're locked into fairies or something, and your DP doesn't come back, and now I'm just gonna win. Once you slow the game down with Eldritch, you're not gonna lose the combo. Once, like, I don't want to sound like cocky or anything, but once Eldritch gets ahead of combo, you just stay ahead, because again, your engine, like these cards, you'll go through this entire line of Eldritch, and then you have a monster who just reborns himself. So there are literally no dead draws once you start rocking with Lord, because even if you had no cards in your extra, you just set these pots and reborn them. You know what I mean? So once you slow the game down with these cards, for the most part, you're going to win. Skill Drain insanely overperformed. I didn't think it would be all. I mean, I love Skill Drain. It's my favorite card, but it's not particularly great against Prank Kids. But I didn't play any. Matchups will be down below. And every single match that I played at the regional was just a loses the Skill Drain dot deck, and these 2 performed really well. Now I will say with the branded deck now in the meta, Goes in Match is not good against that deck in particular. However, you know, Rivalry is insane. So like, you're not gonna find a matchup where like two of these floodgates are bad, and that's why I picked these three. If you want to go with TCBU, that's also an option, but I feel like these three were the best. Anyways, we'll pause and give you guys the side deck and the extra. Okay, where were we? Side and extra. And by the way, I meant to say that if you can't afford, because this build is like, this deck is really budget. If you can't afford Prosperities, you can play Pot of Duality. Last week, up until I think Friday night, I was testing Duality because I wasn't sure my Prosperities were going to come. And shout outs to the guy on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Black Market who sold me those for 90 bucks. You the real MVP. Anyways, extra deck. And I'm just going to be honest. Like, you guys might see cards like these extra deck cards do not matter in this deck. The only card that legitimately matters, and again, you'll see all of these cards like Gustav and Zeus and Pallades and all of this stuff. Like, I'm just being honest. The only cards that matter were these. This is the most important card by a mile. This is just a simple disruptor. Obviously, you can't summon these. These are just punishment targets. But yeah, the punishment target, the Nethys, like this was the most important card of the day by a mile. I think I went into my extra deck again in 8 duels, 8 rounds of Swiss, probably 4 times. Like and even games when I did, for like a Link Spider or something, like it didn't matter, honestly. I think I went into Gustav Max to try to OTK my opponent. He had Valor, and I'm like, Valor game 2 against Eldritch. Like, it's kind of cringe, but whatever. I still beat him anyways. So yeah, if you're looking at this extra deck and you're thinking I can't afford a Zeus or I can't afford a BLS, like these can just be whatever you want. The most important thing in here is really just the punishment targets. Like, yeah, I would recommend you run Lina and Gustav Max, but you don't need BLS, you don't need Zeus, you don't really need Pallades. The Link Spiders you probably do need. So, like, only 3 of these cards basically matter. And I wish there were more punishment targets. I think I'm actually going to increase those. My side deck was pretty bad, I'll be honest. Lava Golem is not bad in Eldritch. That's just like standard. I ran Shadow Mirror for the branded deck, which I did not play that deck either. So I was like, I don't know. I was really prepared for it. This card beats their entire deck because I think the entire deck, Dragoon, Chimera, like they're all dark except that one light dragon, and they cannot beat you with just that card alone. The Phantasmes, pretty bad. I mean, I thought I was going to be playing against Frank Kids, and I'm like, oh, you go second, summon Phantasme, it's a +1. But no, this has to become something different. I don't know what it is yet, but it has to be something different. Solemn Judgment is kind of like Lava Golem in my opinion. Lava Golem generally goes in second against most decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! As a board breaker, Solemn Judgment can go in first against any matchup because it stops everything. Whatever you're afraid of, the Evenlies, the other blowout cards, Lightning Storm, Feather Duster, Twin Twisters, this stops everything. And if they don't have the board breakers, you just 1-for-1 it with your opponent. This card was interesting, Shared Ride, and this is going to become a mistake in the future because what I realized is this is like fine against decks like Flundereeze and even Branded or like the Alistair deck, but it's honestly like, forget getting cards. It's better to just flip over a floodgate, mistake, and then just tell them like, okay, you can't play anymore. Because your little bird deck, if you can't get to your tributes, doesn't do anything. An Alistair deck, if you don't have invocation, doesn't do anything. And branded deck, if you can't get to your fusion cards, you get what I'm saying? Like, I think it's better, rather than to be drawing random cards, then I think it's better just to have a floodgate, to be honest. So of this side deck, the cards that I would keep would Lava Golem and Solemn Judgment. I think I'm currently running 2 Shadow Mirror, but like this is going to be a mistake for sure, and this just needs to become something else. But yeah, you guys leave me your thoughts below. This is the deck that I see myself playing for the foreseeable future, and I'm actually in the process of doing something that's I kind of frown upon, but yeah, some of these rarities like the gold Pallades and I think these are from like the another gold set, the Gustav. Like I'm in the process of kind of like rarity upgrading this because I don't like some of the rarities. But thank you guys for watching as always.